Summoners, welcome back. IPL5 Taiwan qualifiers going through Group A. Gonna go see who makes it out of the group stage. And right now, time to terminate. They got a possibility here. If they win,
Yeah.
go ahead and win this next one against all-in carry. There's a possibility they can win out into group stage. There's a possibility they can also be going into the wild card bracket as well. Gonna have to see. But all-in carry, after watching him play against Honda, they were looking pretty strong.
Yeah, no, definitely the case. All-lane carry just absolutely obliterated Hana yesterday, and they looked like a really impressive team. They had great coordination, very similar to Type A Assassins. It seemed pretty clear after watching those two matches that those were the 1 and 2 teams, but we'll have to see. So time to terminate really, coming in this game at a disadvantage. But like you said, they're 1 and 1 now after being able to pick up that win. If they pick up another one, 2 and 1, they could very easily make it into the pool. And we'll have to see how it works out for them. But it's definitely going to be exciting. I don't know. We'll see. So they lost to Type A Assassins, but losing to the best is
It's not too bad.
It's never a huge indicator of what's going on. So we'll have to see how that works.
So we got the bans, picks and bans here once again. Time to terminate will once again be on blue side.
Okay.
Banning out Kennen, Alistar, and Rise. Alistar can be a very big problem, as we saw yesterday.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, the big thing is we're seeing all these Alistar bans, but not against Type A Assassins.
Right.
So we'll see, when we look at the rest of the Group A stages tomorrow, we're going to be looking at the Type A Assassin games. If we finally see those Alistar bans coming into there, because Lil Balls on Alistar is a monster, to say the least.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
He's pretty fairly large monster. The bans coming in from all-in carry will actually be Shen, Anivia, and Morgana.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, just solid.
Yeah, so
solid
just
bans.
all around, strong champions. It's weird. You hear bands and you'll hear different bands every game, but there's so many super powerful champions at this point in time that every single banning phase is like, oh, we're hitting all the good bands, and it's just. I don't know. So I'll say it for this game. We hit all the good bands. There you go. But we will be in this game shortly. We'll be taking a look at the champs and actually going down the line. We see.
So, we could do these in order too.
Okay,
let's do them in order at the very least. So time to terminate in order. TF, Leona, Udyr, Ezreal, Poppy, and by the way, Pulsefire, Ezreal.
That wasn't
who cares about
you just read them out.
Well, first off, who cares about Pulsefire, Ezreal? We got Striker, Ezreal. I haven't seen that. I think actually the first time I've ever seen that actually.
You're like, let's do it in order, and then you just read them off, just like I would have done.
All right, let's do it proper then. So time to terminate with TF first pick. All-in carry responds with Nautilus Graves.
Okay.
Time to terminate with Leona Udyr.
Okay.
ALC, then Lulu Vygar getting the Yordle match there. Time to terminate then finishes off with Ezreal and Poppy, and then Renekton is the last pick for ALC.
Okay, so really interesting matchup here. Graves and Lulu is a very strong lane. Graves, it's a very safe lane is the big thing. So for like dueling, they will be vulnerable to the lane harass from Ezreal, but when you duel, Leona, they know Leona is a really aggressive support, and Leona just wants to head-on engage. Well, if Leona head-on engages against Lulu and Graves, you're usually going to lose. Lulu and Graves, they're both great duelists, so they can win 2v2 matchups very easily when you're just, head to the wall, brawling it out. But what Ezreal does is gives them a little bit more burst, and it gives them some harass as well. So they have to worry about that burst damage. And so that's kind of why the Ezreal pick is there, to try and wear them down some, because both Lulu and Graves are going to be vulnerable to that harass. But it'll be interesting to see. We have an aggressive jungler for all-lane carry. Time to terminate. They have the Udyr. So against Nautilus, a lot of times you want to have with that fast jungling speed. You want to just kind of clear the jungle, maybe counter him a little bit, get out the red, try and slow him down some that way.
Yep. Now Poppy is not someone we really see all too common, and it was they had to pick their top laner. ALC actually did not pick theirs just yet. They counterpicked with Renekton. How does that matchup actually pan out?
It's kind of interesting. So Poppy, like you said, isn't seen a lot. So I'm not 100% on the matchup, but there are a lot of things that Poppy does extremely well and is extremely powerful at. You have the passive, which is completely OP. I mean, it's really the most ridiculous passive in the game. So for those of you who don't know, Poppy, any damage greater than 10% of Poppy's health will be reduced by 50%, which means against any sort of burst nukes,
like
Vygar, anyone in the game really. I mean, every single nuke in the game basically will be reduced to 50% against Poppy. Particularly early on, because it's going to do more than 10% of your health. So very quickly, that's going to be huge. And then also the Q against Renekton will be very effective for getting some damage off. The concern is Renekton is one of the strongest laners in the game, and he has regen. So Poppy should have an early advantage, but once Renekton gets a couple of levels, he'll have the regen advantage, and he can maybe get some harass onto Poppy. We'll have to see how that kind of works out, though.
Now, also one thing to note, Ezreal's mid,
Yeah.
TF is bot, APTF sticking bot lane. This is a little unusual.
I think the big thing is they recognize how aggressive Graves and Lulu can be in the lane. And then also Vigar versus TF. So Vigar actually works as a counterpick to TF. Vigar outranges TF. You get him at the stun. You have plenty of kill potential where you can just wear him down. Actually, Leona coming in here. Udyr as well. We have the exhaust, and there's the flash from both Udyr and TF picking up the first blood. Really awesome play.
Right, so this is working out.
Yeah, so that's the big thing is they wanted to add some aggression to that bottom lane, and having the double stun with TF and with Leona, they can either stun and back off and wear them down, or they can go for a super aggressive lane. And it's working out. It's a really interesting matchup, but it also keeps TF out of that mid lane against Vigar, where Vigar does work as a counter.
Yep, and there's not a whole lot of AP mids that can actually go ahead and do that though. Like this is a pretty unique situation, I feel, because it's not too uncommon to see ADTF at times.
Here's the thing. Yes, you can see an ADTF. The reason that you tend to send your AP mids, which is going to be an issue this game, but it's an issue any game, and your AD bot is APs, they tend to scale off of level. You need to get them fast levels. Items aren't as much of a concern. They help, but they're not as big of a deal. Ezreal, going to be very safe here. Will be able to avoid the Nautilus ganks. That's another thing, is that TF is very vulnerable to Nautilus ganks. He's not very mobile. Ezreal, on the other hand, is perfectly safe. But mids, you want them mid so that they get levels. ADs, they only need farm, so they go bot for farm. TF is going to be behind on levels from where he would normally be, which is going to reduce his damage as an AP carry, and it is going to be a concern. So it's not an ideal situation. In the meantime, we see Vigar getting off the stun.
Nice.
We'll be perfectly safe there.
That's a pretty fancy cage as well. I don't think I've ever actually seen the skin before. That's kind of nice. But there you go. TF now coming mid, forcing the flash from Vigar. He's still got the yellow card. Still going to go ahead and get some free damage off onto the Nautilus, but will actually decide to back off. And he's only level 3, so he's still got a while to go. And while he's up trying to get the ganks in mid, that's free time for bot lane to actually go ahead and get a decent amount of farm. Look to catch up. And Graves, he's working on a little bit of a lead here. But I think with that tome, might see a lucky pick on TF just to go ahead and measure out some of the gold. He's gonna be at a little bit of a disadvantage. But I mean, he already is though.
Well, it's also that lucky pick. You get the quick death fire's grasp. It is a really strong build. Here we're seeing some really nice damage from Renekton, but with that Q, Poppy can exchange very easily. One thing I'm kind of curious about is when we are looking for kills, Nautilus and Udyr both actually setting up mid. But once Renekton hits 6, whether or not he can engage, and actually Udyr is going to come straight onto Renekton. We get the slow, we have the red buff, then the double dash will get him out of there. Yep. Nautilus coming as well, so they will be safe. Actually, the hook onto Poppy, but he should be fine. Still going to take a little bit of damage, though, and because Poppy's out of mana, it is going to give Renekton an advantage in here, and he's going to be able to push into the tower and deny a lot of that farming and experience. But I'm curious, the Renekton ultimate, it does do a little bit of a dot, and dots don't actually work against Poppy.
Yeah. So see that, and that's the thing. That's seeing that now in effect, how good Lulu is in this matchup. He's like, oh, Leona, I'm gonna go ahead and go for your stun, and now you're a squirrel, and now there's not a whole lot you can do there. But that gank top, I could tell. Poppy they were setting up. They were setting up for the slam against the wall, but just like you mentioned, though, there's just no mana. Just did not come out. Just did not happen.
Yeah, so they will have to back off. I mean, that is a concern with Poppy early on. As it progresses, it isn't that big of a deal. Poppy, can easily go with Gold Pretend. That's kind of normal to get the Philosopher's Stone. The regen is huge, so having any sort of HP regen or lifesteal in Poppy is awesome. It's particularly for the laning phase because you can't get harassed down because of your passive. And actually, Graves towing the line here against Leona. I'm a little bit surprised they didn't just pick up the stun and then back off, but. We'll see. I mean, now that they see Lulu's backing, they can kind of zone the lane a little bit. Ezreal, dropping some wards will be very safe mid as well.
Yeah, nice aggressive warding there from Ezreal. Just recognizing it's getting around that time, around the 7:30 mark where the blue's going to be respawning. So he knows that the blue's going to be passed off to Vigar. He wants to go ahead and try and get the jump. as best as possible if and when he does decide to go for it. And Nautilus may also decide to pick him up for himself, but there you go. Udir's actually very aggressively going for it. Ward's in the bush, and Leona's out there playing the point. Does get grabbed, looking to try and pick up the stun. Vigar's not too far behind, but there is the cage, and Leona's a little bit too far away from the rest of the team. May actually go down here, and yes, Graves will go ahead and grab the kill. Udir's in a pretty bad spot, but so is TF. Ezreal's trying here to save the day. Nautilus will go down. Graves a little bit of opposition, and now Lulu.
And Ezreal actually still chasing, flashes after him. One more hit onto Graves can maybe do it, but Vigar is not out of the woods yet, actually missing the Q, so he's going to be able to get out of there. Unfortunately, Graves going to have to retreat underneath that tower, and in the meantime, Renekton picking up the kill onto Poppy. And there's the thing, I'm curious, the ultimate, it does do damage, you know, just a small little damage, and so with the ultimate and with the ignite, he probably has enough damage, and you see the passive for Poppy doesn't really matter that much. He goes down actually really quickly because it's small increments of damage won't be blocked by that Poppy passive.
And that's, you know, that's just enough, more than enough to chip away. And especially in a situation like this, the farm is actually pretty even. So now Renekton's going to go ahead and take that lead that he has. He's probably just going to start walking away with it, pushing the wave into tower. So Poppy's going to be a little bit denied when returning back into lane. So now where does Renekton go from here? He's got a little bit of gold. He's not, you know, not quite enough to start any big items. Possibly, no. I'm thinking Brutalizer actually.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Brutalizer would be a standard transition for Renekton. You know, all of his abilities are physical, so that's absolutely huge. The issue with the Brutalizer, and I honestly don't know, you know, the correct answer for this is. You know, the Brutalizer is actually going to be putting like his E and his W into that ability range where they're going to start be dealing enough damage where Poppy's passive is going to proc, and so it actually might reduce his damage output. You know, if he goes, it's really a weird thing. Probably not. I mean, he'll probably just go with the Brutalizer because it's the standard build path. But right now, he's going to be fine with picking up HP. The concern with HP against Poppy is that it scales the Q a little bit, but it's still going to be nice to avoid some of that harass. Since he knows he already has the sustain advantage with his regen, he might go for a fast phage after this just to be able to chase down Poppy a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll break out the Excel spreadsheet later. We'll do some math. We'll get some calculators. I don't know if we're feeling saucy enough. But that's the thing though. Now, still a fair amount of damage and the level lead there, top lane for the Renekton. So I mean, stacking Doran's Blades also not a bad option either. And right now, let's also take a return to the mid. See how Ezreal's doing. 55, 54, farm pretty even. They both have an assist to their name. 3 Dorans right there on the Ezreal. He wants to go ahead. He wants to have that life just in case he just gets caught out by Vigar.
In the meantime, Nautilus is set up down bottom, and I don't think they have any wards. No, they don't have any wards down in that lane, so they don't see him yet. He might be able to get an engage, but I don't know. It'll be tough to say. Both TF and Leona are very vulnerable to ganks because they can't get out of there fast enough. And Renekton actually going to walk right up into Udyr. We get the stun. We're going to get some quick damage. He should be able to get out of there. Throws off the stun. We'll get the dash off. But here is the depth charge. And then the hook back on the TF. Very quickly, he's going to be going down, but he will be able to get the flash out of there. And now Leona is the vulnerable one. We have that Graves red buff. Can't pick up the kills. Not alternating the tanking. So Lulu getting low has to back out of there. But it does give Graves a nice little farm advantage here.
You know, forcing the ult from Lulu as well. I mean, without that ult, Lulu may very well have just died in that engagement. But yeah, see now that's the thing though. Like Graves, he's doing pretty well, all things considered. He's taking the farm lead pretty convincing at this point. He's about like 25 ahead. And he has the lane to himself. He's got the great presence from Nautilus as well to just go ahead and, you know, put down all the pressure necessary. So now it's like Udyr, you know, he's got 2 kills to his name, but it's now a matter of like, you know, where does he go to? I mean, Vigar is pretty tough to gank. You know, bot lane to establish that Nautilus is there quite often, and Poppy's not doing too well here top lane.
Yeah, Renekton getting some nice harass, but Renekton is getting pretty low. We do see Nautilus, though, coming in. There's the hook. We'll be able to get him, actually, after the Arcane Shift, and there's some damage, and then the stun as well, blocking the ultimate from Ezreal, but they are both very low. Ezreal might actually pick up the double. No, the one last attack will be able to get him. Vigar actually getting that kill, and Renekton still bullying around Poppy in this top lane.
Yeah, and even though he did get caught in a stun, the ult from Ezreal still actually goes through quite a bit of CC. It'll still, you know, once it started, it's gonna go for, you know, through most CC like that. But you know, it's still
that's right. It is like Caitlyn's. I didn't see it go off though. So
no, it went.
Okay.
It was still there. but see, now that's the power of Renekton. There you go, going for the tower dive once again. He can just go ahead, pop the ult, ignite. He can just leave it.
Yeah.
Is, you know, set it, forget it. I'm just gonna go ahead and farm all these minions here because, you know, Udyr got vision of Udyr in the mid, so he knows he's got a good amount of time to just go ahead and continue to pressure the lane. But it may, right there, dash over the wall. Very tricky. Very tricky.
Yeah, and just having the dot and having the regen, Renekton able to bully around Poppy so successfully. Poppy actually forced to go with the double Dorans, which is really just a weak item build. I mean, it helps Poppy in lane some. It prevents some of this damage from Renekton because the big thing is Poppy needs to get farmed. But when we come into team fights, Poppy's going to be so vulnerable, and there's actually the arcane shift to get right over that Vigar stun.
Nice.
Actually does get stunned, when he went through it. But regardless, getting really nice damage against Vigar, forcing him out of there. And there's the nice matchup. Ezreal versus Vigar. He's able to slow him down a little bit, but as the game progresses, Vigar is going to be very dangerous, and Nautilus actually maybe going to get an engage here.
But Udyr's not too far away either, so there's the hook. Not able to get the Ezreal, just barely on, just a few centimeters away, but there's a ward in that bush. Udyr's, actually, we got the oracles on both junglers, actually. So go ahead, all the wards necessary to clear. There's the ward from they know that they're being camped out in that bush. But here's the thing, though. There's a pretty good positioning here from ALC around the dragon area. They could try and pressure it, but they're just going to decide not to. But once again, it is that time where blue is back up. And you saw it happen in the fight around the blue last time, too. Vigar is now going to go ahead and leave lane. He should be able to pick it up for himself pretty convincingly. There's no wards in the enemy jungle this time around. So they're not going to know until he comes back in the lane. And they realize, oh, so that's where he went.
Yeah, and we'll have to see, how Time to Terminate's team can kind of come out as the game progresses. Nautilus actually coming down bottom with that Oracles. He will be able to clear the wards. In the meantime, Udyr coming up top. There's the Poppy ultimate, and we are chasing down this Renekton. We'll get some nice damage, but if we can't hit the stun, there's actually the stun into the wall, followed up with Udyr and getting that red buff, but he will flash out of there, and Renekton is pretty tanky. And there's actually the teleport in from Vigar, gets the stun, but Poppy will have that passive to mitigate some of that damage. Now Udyr is kind of vulnerable. He will be able to back off, so nice play from Vigar, with the teleport in, but won't be able to pick anything up. But now, because there's 3 top, they get the free dragon.
Meanwhile, at the dragon, ALC will just go ahead and secure it pretty, whoa, that was an attempt at the steal. Did not get it. I thought it for a second there. I thought it got it. But alas, it has not. So, unfortunate waste of an ult for Leona. But it was worth the shot. It was worth the shot.
Yeah, but they are extremely vulnerable in this bottom lane, and Graves and Lulu have been doing a really nice job at this point. There's still some kill presence from TF and Leona, but they probably don't have enough burst damage, particularly with the ult down. But actually, Poppy baiting in Renekton right now. Udyr going to chase him down, but he should be able to get out of there. He doesn't have his ultimate.
And Ezreal is here in the neighborhood as well. Ignite's going down, looking to get that Poppy kill, but the stun will be long enough. But that's the thing, though. That's how far Renekton is. He requires a 3-on-1 to be taken down. That's unfortunate. And it proves how far ahead he is in the lead.
Yeah, that's definitely the case, and we'll have to see, whether or not this will help Poppy get into the game. Getting that Sheen would definitely be nice. The issue is still, though, that when we come into team fights, they're really vulnerable right now. And TF isn't the strongest in fights. He hasn't been able to port all around the map because he's been sitting bot as opposed to mid. So having that limited range has hurt him some. And he's already, he's behind in farm from Graves as well. So, I don't know, we'll have to see. He went for the double gold pretend, which will help him keep up farmed, but it also means that up until about the 25-minute mark, he's really going to be very weak in fights. He just doesn't have the damage output that you would like to have on someone like TF. So they're missing out on all this early kill potential in order to go into late game. But once we come into late game, we're looking at Graves and Vigar with a Lulu, and that's, going to be extremely difficult for them to deal with.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too, about the late game. You got to get there first. But still, kills pretty even. There's still only a 1k gold difference between the two teams. And Ezreal, he's doing pretty well for himself. I mean, he's got his Sheen, he's stacking Doran, he's got quite a bit of damage output available to him. And if you take a look at the gold as well, I mean, it's still fairly even. It's just the matter is the top lane, Renekton is just doing absolute work on Poppy at the moment.
Yeah, and I mean, even if Poppy can keep up with farm, being 30 down right now, just the fact that you have to go to the defensive items is just devastating. But we'll have to see. I mean, Renekton, this is the point in the game where he wants to be aggressive. The TF ult goes off, but it's really just there for vision because, again, TF is bot, so there's not a whole lot that he can do.
Yeah.
But as the game progresses later in the game, Renekton does fall off a little bit when some of his damage, with some armor, is kind of reduced. But he will be very strong through the mid game. And actually, Nautilus coming in onto Ezreal gets the depth charge. There's the flash and the arcane shift, but the stun from Vygar will be able to pick him up.
So much damage. The shift and the flash is not. Once you're targeted with that death charge, you are not getting away from anything, no matter how many effects you have.
Vygar, I'm just impressed by Vygar with the flash stun, able to land it. He's landed almost every stun right on the edge.
That's like Nai Jackie level of Vygar stun right there.
Whoa, let's hold off a second here.
I said it. But yeah, there's still plenty of game to go though. I mean, when the clutch stuns as they come on later in the game, but flash stun on Vygar is never an easy thing to do. It's quite possibly one of the more difficult things to do in League of Legends. But there you go, Poppy now trying to make something happen onto Renekton. He may have gotten a little bit too ahead of himself. The ult will keep Poppy around for a little while longer. The Ignite is down on her though. The Ezreal ult not getting there, and if it did, that could have turned that fight, but unfortunately not, and Renekton will win the 1v1.
Really nice job from Renekton. I don't actually remember what the Poppy ultimate, what it gives you, but I know it gives you some defensive stats. It increases your bonus.
It's increased
you know what?
damage.
Never mind. I thought that it also gave you like a little bit extra armor or something. But regardless, just kiting around for his abilities. When his abilities were up, he's able to dash through Poppy real quick and get that kill. So really nice job from Renekton. I mean, there's not a whole lot more to say about it. He's 3-1 in lane against Poppy, and they're definitely, doing their job all around the map right now.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Poppy's ult, it makes you immune to damage from anyone other than your target, and your target actually do increased damage against this. And it's really a good team fight utility as well if you just want to zoom in and just just focus on one champ. Like in this case, I can see it being used actually on the Vygar later on, so you can go ahead and focus him down.
The big thing is that Renekton knew in a head-on-head duel, I'm going to lose, but we'll see if Udyr can catch him. The double dash, he should be able to get out of there. Oh, but the flash.
Just wasted so much, and Udyr just poked out a little bit too early. Just like last time, he's been getting a little bit too overzealous there on the attempts at the ganks, but Renekton, he can clear so much distance with those dashes as well. But now, see, here's the thing though, ALC, they know they're in a position where he can go ahead and start invading.
Oh, Nautilus coming into that bottom lane, going to try and get in on Leona. We have the hook back, and there's the snare. We have the ult from Graves actually missing, but the kill goes down on Leona. One more tick. Actually just barely surviving.
18 health.
And in the meantime, Renekton and Poppy are dueling once again up top. Oh, I thought he might be going all in for it, but they will back off. TF kind of poking out a little bit. Actually throws off his ultimate, recognizes, I probably shouldn't go in if 4 of them are down there. So he will back off.
Ezreal actually just throws the ult top lane, just completely not even close to Renekton, and I'm not quite sure what he was even doing with that anyway. Probably just farming some creeps up mid. But things, Dragon should be coming up in a little bit as well, so another objective right before the taking. But Udyr, it's been rough for Udyr had a good start, but now it's just kind of like where's he placed with the rest of his team. Renekton can get away from the ganks. Vygar can go ahead and stun him when he gets close. And bot lane, it's rough. You have the polymorph from Lulu. I mean, he might just, it might just be in his best interest just to sit back and farm at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he is pretty far behind at this point, and I don't know. We'll have to see. The issue with Udyr is when you're behind, in team fights, you need to just kind of run head first into the enemy. He will draw off some of the damage from Poppy. But even so, with this turret down, we'll see if Renekton actually goes in with the ultimate, gets the stun. Poppy should be able to get out of there, though.
Yeah, I mean, though that was just a bad situation. But here you go. The Dragon's going to go ahead and take a step back, though, because Dragon was actually being taken during while the tower was actually going down. So you see here that ALCs are actually starting on it and should be able to go ahead and secure it. Yes, they will, but here's Udyr now out in front, trying to get the stun onto the Nautilus, but the cage will go ahead and keep him under wraps. We are trying to focus down onto the Graves, but with the Lulu ult, he will be able to live just a little longer. The Graves ult going down, Leona ult going down. TF's trying to focus some damage, and so is Ezreal just poking in and out, weaving in and out, but they're not getting a whole lot of this. But Leona is caught in the pit, and Graves will go ahead and pick up that kill as well. So the Dragon and +1 kill, two for one. It's pretty good positioning, pretty good situation for all lane carry actually.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty nice for them, and the big issue is that TF just doesn't have enough damage right now, so we're seeing a little bit of poke going down. He's starting to build up. He's going to have a lot of burst damage, but I don't know, there's definitely a damage advantage and a tankiness advantage for all-lane carry right now, so
Yeah.
time to terminate. They need to continue to farm. They need to try and pick people off. They have nice poke with both Ezreal and TF where they can try and wear the enemy down. But I don't know, once they kind of get into fights, both Ezreal and TF are going to be vulnerable to that Vigar stun. If he hits it on one of those, pick up the quick kill. We have the disables from Nautilus as well to chain CC them, and it will be very difficult for them to win fights.
And Poppy actually grabbing the blue buff, I don't quite agree with that. Because, I mean, it's Poppy's already behind. It's been established that she can be killed pretty easy by Renekton in 1v1, though.
But what we saw is Poppy is starting to get to that point where she has enough damage to actually fight Renekton head-on. And part of the issue is the cooldown reduction, and then also just the spammability. She's getting low on mana. But the cooldown reduction in particular, she can kind of chase down Renekton, just keep on getting off those Qs, and maybe do a little bit better in that top lane. And since they already had a blue buff onto Ezreal, Udyr doesn't really need it. There's not really anyone else for it to go onto. So we'll have to see. But, Poppy can still do decently against Renekton. It's really just Renekton's regen that's an issue.
Yeah, whenever I'm jungling, whenever I'm passing off a buff, like one of the first things that goes through my mind is, will you be able to hold on to this buff? Will you be able to just not give the buff away? And that's my primary concern in this situation. But Renekton, yeah, he did force he's actually going down in health quite a bit, though. So, I mean, maybe I'll be eating my words in a second, but there you go, TF. Wow, all that damage from the Vigar, the DFG, and the ult. More than enough to just melt him immediately. And there you go, in the mid, the rest of the team is actually still pushing. The depth charge going down onto the Ezreal. And it's just all three lanes are doing a pretty good job here pushing, but the Udyr trying to get in. The Shirelia's following the Polymorph, trying to chase with the anchor, will not connect. But things are pretty, and there's Poppy, top lane, against the Renekton. The ult has been popped, and I think the blue buff will, unfortunately, be passed on.
Yeah, the issue is that Renekton just has so much chasing ability, and Poppy getting a little bit out of position. Fortunately for them, though, they have the engage on the Renekton, but Nautilus and Lulu and Graves are all very close behind. We actually have the double dash, but Renekton is going to go down. Actually, the Lulu ultimate just barely keeping him alive for a second there. TF is going to be porting in, but he's going to be porting in right into the middle of the enemy team. Renekton does go down, but then Lulu will be able to pick up the kill into Udyr. Actually, Graves grabbing it, but they will get this tower, and there's not a whole lot that Time to Terminate can do to say anything about it.
Yeah, there's too much CZ, there's too much poke, and like right there. Just cage, smack, you're gone. It's that they can go ahead and kill members of Terminate that easily, just like that. And there's too much pressure. There's too much pressure coming from ALC. It's unfortunate, but I mean it's so much stun, a wonderful amount of CC for
but
ALC
Ezreal
as
is
well.
looking for a kill while they're trying to get out of
Yes.
there. Vigar is kind of vulnerable right here. If we see the arcade, oh wow, the quick stun as well. So he's going to be able to get out of Poppy, but actually the Ghost, so he does have to worry about this. But Lulu coming in, there's the shutdown. So now Poppy has the double buff. Never something you want to see. Yeah. So real quick burst.
There's a lot of burst, lots of burst coming just right in the bush, and that is also a huge concern when playing against a Vigar as well. Is that if in the wrong situation, you can just go from full to zero in a mere instant.
To be fair, Ezreal was at like a quarter HP. He was very low.
To be fair, he deserved it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I mean. You had still no mention, still no vision on Vigar. He could very well be nearby. And going out that far ahead, knowing that they just left your area, it's a little bit of you proceed at your own caution in that instance. Leona will actually grab the Nautilus, but not the animation will finish for the hook, so we will get to his safety at his own tower. Renekton
he probably would have gone down otherwise.
Yeah, you probably would have, but fortunately enough, there's the wave from Ezreal looking to do some damage just to the minions. And Renekton, though, he's just having a field trip this way. He was down bottom. He's the highest level in the game right now. He's got like a 2-level lead, at least, nearly on everyone else in the game at the very least. But there's the Nautilus ult going down, and he's coming from behind onto all of Time to Terminate, focusing down onto TF first. Graves will be able to pick up that kill, and there's the Lulu popping most of Terminate up. But Renekton, he's just about ready to go ahead and like 1v4 the rest of the team. And Poppy will be caught out and will be singled out just by the Nautilus, and Graves will be able to pick up the Graves in the process, but should be giving up the double kill. Should be giving up the double buff to Nautilus.
Yeah, but Poppy is definitely becoming more and more of a concern in this game.
Yeah.
You know, that was a one fight for them, but Graves did go down. That fight was pretty close to going the other way. And
Yeah.
so, you know, once Poppy gets a little bit more damage, if TF can keep himself alive a little bit longer, not be right in the middle of the enemy team, that would be a good thing. So we'll see. We have, you know, some towers going down for all-lane carry. They can push pretty aggressively, but Poppy late game is one of the strongest champions in the game. So while Renekton is at his peak right now, he is going to like start falling off, and he's just kind of a tanky body. His damage is, you know, solid, but not the greatest late game. Poppy is going to continue scaling, and with that Triforce now, is going to be a serious threat for them.
Yeah, Triforce on Poppy is definitely, absolutely a threat. But you know, then again, there's a lot of items right now on ALC. You got the Randuins being finished on Renekton. You know, the DFG has been on Vigar for a while. You got the 2 Shirelias being built as well. So they can go ahead. They can close their gaps. They can get all the CC they need in the situations they need. Also, a QSS onto Graves as well. So he's not going to be stuck in stun for very long in these future team fights. But you know, Dragon's up. Terminate knows, you know, if they want to get it, they can go ahead and get it quick if they do. So there's going to be a little bit extra gold. And not to mention, you know, TF is now, you know, he's picking it up. He's got his Lich Bane. He's going to start, he's building some AP. May see a DFG out from him pretty soon as well.
Yeah, so we'll have to see. But right now, I think if all-lane carry, you know, has a nice coordinated fight, they're just at such an advantage. And the big thing is keeping Graves alive. So if Graves can stay alive through the longer fights, as long as Vigar gets his burst down on one person, you know, that's all you really need. And then if Graves has the sustain throughout those longer fights, they're definitely going to be in a serious advantage. The big issue for them, the QSS, it'll be nice, you know, against some of those stuns. It doesn't get rid of Poppy's ultimate.
No, it does not.
So, you know, it's really just lowering your damage. So I'm a little bit surprised that Graves is going for it, because he should be able to just position himself outside of the TF and outside of the Udyr, where it's not an issue. He doesn't really need to worry about anything. The only thing to be concerned about is Leona, but that's really just a positioning thing, and he has the dash. So actually, by going the Quicksilver Sash, he's reducing his damage at this point in the game.
But, you know, you got the rest of the team to follow by them. You know, Vigar has still got a huge amount of damage. Renekton is still a pretty good, you know, contributing factor in most of these fights. And even then, well, and also, but you know, one thing too is that it can only happen once. If he does get Leona stunned, he does clear it away. You still have the Udyr, you still have the TF. So if they manage to catch him out, it is going to be useless. And you're right. But I don't know. The team's traveling up as a pretty good pack. I think it's not going to be, you know, I think it's, if he does get any use, it's going to make his money worth. Not using it quite yet. He's waiting to do so, but there you go. Right now, Renekton is on the front line. He's getting focused down, and Vigar actually getting focused down, but the Lulu ult will keep him alive just for a moment longer than Poppy's done finishing her job. Leona does have to flash away from the Nautilus Death Charge, going down onto the Squirrel, onto the Poppy, but Graves now does go down. It's a 4v3 situation. Terminate could actually walk away with this one. Flash is going down, looking to escape, but Renekton is still in the middle of everything and does not manage to get another kill. Ezreal does finish that job. Shirley is being popped. Lulu may be able to get away. The very low. The slow's coming down. One more auto tech, and yes, Ezreal will grab it.
They just have no answer for Poppy at this point in the game. And the big issue is that TF and Ezreal, you know, they want to be safe in the back and just constantly wear people down with damage. Well, Graves and Vigar can't get in on them because Poppy is just running right at them, and they have, you know, the ult on Poppy, so they're just sitting there like, what do? I can't kill him, you know, and I can't walk past him because I'm going to die. So Poppy is just so disruptive at this point. We see a tower going down, and this game, which, you know, we had such a huge advantage for all lane carry with that Poppy pick, it looks like time to Terminate might be able to actually pick this up.
Yeah. So now's the time. Go back to base, refresh a little bit, you know, top yourself off, and you might have, you know, still there's a lot of items still to be bought. Ezreal's recognizing, hey, they're going incredibly tanky. Need to be able to shred away some of that armor. So there's the last Whisper. QSS now for now, you know, Poppy's got one for herself too. So gonna go ahead and try and reduce some of those stuns, try and, you know, get rid of, you know, because, you know, she recognizes that she's gonna start being focused now, especially with a double buff on her as well. And here's the thing too, Renekton dinged 17 a while back, and, you know, when he first dinged 17, he had a 2-level lead on Poppy, and now Poppy is actually caught up with those last 2 fights. He hasn't actually hit 18 yet.
We will have to see, though. We did get some nice damage on, or they did get some nice damage onto that bot turret. So, you know, it is pretty low. right now we do see they're clearing
Just
some
waiting.
wards and actually just trying to bait it out. They don't really have the best Baron team, so particularly without Renekton, there's not really a great opportunity for them to take this Baron. We do see that TF and everyone, they're positioned pretty well. They have the ward there, so they saw Poppy, or they saw that Renekton split, and they will be able to come up and clear vision. So they know they're safe, but in the meantime, TF is actually pushing down the mid turret. We'll get a nice little wave push, and they're actually maybe going to just transition into mid. But
And
Poppy's
then
actually caught out the
caught
stun.
out. No, the Veigar stun will actually get her on the edge of it. Does pop the ult just in time, but will not be enough for Renekton to be able to finish it off. And there you go. The rest of the damage now coming down on to time to terminate. And now it's a little bit unfortunate that Poppy just did happen to get caught out there. But that's what happens.
The double kill for
Double
TF,
kill
but
for
actually
TF.
Graves flashing after Ezreal, trying to pick up this kill.
The
he has
shift.
the movement speed, and a couple more attacks will be able to do it, but the Arcane Shift gets over there, and actually TF coming in on the back line picks up another kill. So really quickly, it looked like it was just an all-out victory for all-lane carry, but TF is going to come in. He wants another kill. There's the Q onto Graves. If he's able to hit that stun, it would happen, but the Arcane Shift gets the slow, and there it is, the hook into TF, but really quickly, he is burst down, so he can't get into Derek Jeter, but now Ezreal is out of mana, and he definitely has to watch out. One more hook will be able to take him down with Graves and also
Running in
pursuit.
circles,
There it
you
goes.
go. Unfortunate. Highly, highly unfortunate.
And so we had the epic fight with the epic camera angles.
I know, right mouse button. No,
right,
don't
but,
do it.
It was surprising. I mean, that was the whole idea behind the Quicksilver Sash. Is Poppy recognized if I get caught out before my ult goes off, then we're going to lose the fight. And it was like a complete win for all lane carry. They just absolutely obliterated time to terminate in the fight. They were able to burst down that Poppy really quickly. She couldn't get Poppy couldn't get up the ultimate until like 20% HP or something. Yeah. But then to lose the fight, the long fight to TF was just devastating for them because that could have been a Baron, that could have been an inhibitor maybe, if they had just won outright.
And even then, Terminate, they could have backed off. It was, 3 for 3. It was an even exchange, all things considered. They could have backed off, but no, they got a little bit greedy. And Nautilus, he's still an absolute threat. And Poppy getting caught out once again by the Veigar stun. The ult going down on Veigar, so she's not going to be going down to Renekton anytime soon. But there you go, the wild growth going onto Veigar and Leona looking for the stun. But Udyr, he's way too low on health. And Zonia is being popped on Veigar as well. He will be safe. He will be fine. Death Charge going down onto TF. Mid-hook. All the burst damage will take him down pretty convincingly, and just now Ezreal is looking to try and poke and join the fight, but Poppy should not be getting away from this one, if so, just barely.
And the big thing, Graves will probably be able to pick this up with the dash. No, going to back off. The big thing is that Poppy used the ult a little bit too early, and then actually Poppy was trying to get a hard engage, but ulted onto Veigar, and so Veigar was able to throw off the stun, and now all of a sudden, Poppy's stunned. He wasted the entire ult, basically.
Yeah.
And so wasn't able to get the same disruption that you had seen in the past from, that Poppy. And here we have a Baron going down very quickly. All lane carry, they've pulled themselves back in this game. They have a good position. They still have to watch out for Poppy, but if they can kite out the ult, bait it out like they have been doing, or even burst down Poppy early on, then they're going to be fine. And the big issue is that there's really only one person that Poppy can target and not have to worry about a stun, and it's Graves. But if Poppy targets Graves, then Graves is going to be happy because he gets to finally focus down Poppy. Because the issue is when Poppy's won the fights, Graves is sitting there like, well, Poppy's running at me and I can't attack him. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation considering we have 4 CC champs, for all lane carry. He could target the Lulu. Lulu would be actually probably easily the best choice.
Yeah, but still, you still have the polymorph though, and that's just a bit of a mess as well. And Lulu can also, she can go and get away pretty easily with her own speed buff on her. Plus, she has the wild growth. She can just pop it on herself, and if at which point that's also just going to slow Poppy. That's actually going to keep her around longer. It's just, it's tricky. It's tricky, and not to mention the fact that even in that last fight, and even then, it all started also 2 fights ago, just getting caught out. Yeah. And she's on the front line. I think that's the job more reserved for Udyr at this point in the game. But there she's leading the charge, and I don't think she should be.
Yeah, it's just a little bit too aggressive. I think, they got really excited about winning a couple of fights in a row.
Yeah.
We will see. We are going to be able to pressure. They are going to be able to pressure down this tower pretty easily, but they're the Leona ult. They're actually going for the engage. We'll be able to back off very easily. We'll be fine, but the Veigar, can he do any damage? No. Just a little bit of poke, but regardless, it's down to almost half. The next wave, they could maybe pick it up.
I think for almost for sure, because there's not really a whole lot to be done from Terminate at this point, especially against a team like this with Baron that's capable of pretty much, full to zeroing you in a near instant, just like Vigar alone can do it. But there's plenty of damage here on ALC. There's the Udyr being stunned in the cage, and yeah, it's slowly but surely these waves will continue to push on. They're just going to go ahead and move also to greener pastures. They can just go ahead and push bot lane as well, do the same exact thing. They might just be able to split push as well. You saw Renekton doing that a little while earlier as well. But yeah, now Terminate, they know they're being switched, and actually bot turret, they can just go swoop in, take it real easy. They don't even need a minion wave. They just need the quick jump, and there you go. Focus down the turret. It should go down. Now Leona is looking for the stun, looking for the initiation. Lulu going down onto Graves. He will be fine, and Poppy is in a bit of a situation. Does manage to take out the Vigar, but will not be living for long. And there's Leona keeping Graves intact, but the Udyr kill will be the next. Renekton does get the stun onto Ezreal, looking to just get away, just getting the fountain, and Leona will be the next one to fall. Triple kill for the Graves, and I think this one is pretty much over.
Yeah, so they pick up the inhibitor. They have enough time where they can pick up this Nexus. So this should be a win for all lane carry, and we'll have to see, in their next match against. I'm trying to remember. Are they done actually?
No, they got to go up against Taipei Assassins still.
Oh, Taipei Assassins. Oh, that'll be a really cool one. So now Taipei Assassins is 1-0. We will see 2 of their matches tomorrow, and then all lane carry is 2-0 right now. So all lane carry actually coming in as with a little bit of an advantage, but we'll have to see. There's 2 games left. They are able to finish this off pretty easily. If they win, then they will be moving on. Or if Taipei Assassins wins, then Taipei Assassins will probably be moving on. We'll have to see. It will definitely be a really exciting match to watch. Taipei Assassins has just looked fantastic, so every one of their matches is cool to watch.
So there you go, the game going to all lane carry. So right now, group stage is done for Time to Terminate, and unfortunately they're leaving the group stage.
Yep.
1 and 2.
Same thing with Hana. So both Time to Terminate and Hana 1 and 2, Hana's 0 and 2. So
Hana's 0 and 2 right now. Yep. So they still got to play against Taipei Assassins tomorrow. So
but even with a 1 and 2, they'll probably be done.
Yeah. So now tomorrow it's pretty much. Tomorrow we're actually going to be looking at Hana Taipei Assassins and all lane carry Taipei Assassins. So now it's pretty much established that ALC and TPA, they're going to be the 2 emerging from the group stage. It's just a matter of who's in first and who's in second, who's immediately moving on, who has to go to the wild card stage. And yeah, they're both really strong teams.
Yeah,
really strong teams.
Yeah, I mean Taipei Assassins is always really cool to watch. They have really nice team synergy. They're really aggressive early in the game. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, that last game, they just set them behind so badly, and it was the Vigar pick versus the TF, the nice little counter there for all lane carry. The Renekton pick versus the Poppy, nice little counter there for all lane carry.
Yeah.
So picking out their lanes, very really smart decisions, and having that Nautilus pick as well. Was a really aggressive pick for them.
But there was that light of hope. There was always that light of hope. Late game Poppy can definitely be a game changer, but get caught once, ult the wrong person twice and 3 times, and you're out of there. There was an opportunity. There was a shining opportunity for Terminate to actually come back from that. Yep. But you get caught once, and things happen, unfortunately.
Things did happen.
Things happen.
Yeah, so I mean, it was just nice play from all lane carry for the most part. But that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out all the rest of our stuff. We will throw up that overlay. Yep. Hey, it's down there.
There you go.
Lots of cool stuff to check out. Our LOL update videos, obviously, and top 5 and everything that we're throwing out there is always really cool. So check it out. Send us your replays. We would love to see them. If you have any really cool highlights or really just terrible plays, we'll check those out too for our top 5 plays or flops. And definitely check out some of the rest of the stuff we're doing. We will throw up the rebroadcast for the matches if you missed them. But thanks, guys, and hope to see you shortly.
Yep, so I think we're pretty much done here. So thanks for joining us. It's always a pleasure here to see you on the IPL stream. And we will, I believe, see you tonight for Cursed Legion. So
it's actually going to be Optimus Tom and Sola are going to be casting. So
cool.
Cursed Legion definitely going to be a really exciting match. That'll be fun to watch.
Yep, so thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time, guys. Good night.